I'm just a streaming dirt
Haverty's Furniture has more styles and custom fabrics.
Come to my live stream, don't say maybe. It never ends till you go crazy. I'm just a streaming dirt bag, baby.
It's the anti-checker.
We will return to your scheduled programming shortly, or we are currently experiencing technical difficulty.
What is going on, YouTube? Michael J. Crawford, the anti-checker here. And Auntie is about to become the happiest dog on the planet. Why? Because I might have mentioned last night for Christmas dinner, Mrs. Anti-Checker made prime rib. And you know what prime rib comes with? That's right, ribs. So, I saved the rib from the piece of prime rib that I ate last night for Auntie today. This is going to be her Christmas present. She has no idea that I'm doing this because, well, she's a dog. But let's see if she. Well, I've given her ribs before, so I know she's going to like it. But here we go. All right, Auntie, you ready for this? Auntie, look at that. Oh yeah. Yeah, you want that? Yeah. Okay. There you go. So Auntie now has her favorite thing in the whole world, even better than a ham bone. But now she's surrounded by all these bones, she's not going to know what to do with herself. All right, so while she's working on the rib, I'm going to work on the chat. So Indie Tiger was first, but misspelt first, so retracted that and then put in another message. Still made it first twice. Very impressive, Indie Tiger. But as I said in the chat, don't worry if you misspell it. We don't judge, or at least I don't judge on spelling. 47 Yorktown says hi. Bradley says sup everybody. Indy then says hi. Mr. Wolverine says howdy Mr. Friend Buddy. How you doing, Mr. Wolverine? Bradley says true that. I assume to the fact that we don't judge on spelling around here. Bird Oh Pray 5 is in the house, says Kapla. Sorry I missed your stream today, Bird. I have been trying to get some work done. I actually have a video hopefully ready if YouTube copyright bots approve it. I just uploaded it to see if the copyright bots will allow it, because I kind of pushed it a little bit on some of the clips, but kind of making a point about some of the stuff we've been arguing about with the Rise of Skywalker. Mr. Miles is first, of course. Mr. Miles is always first. Huge bones, lucky doe. I assume you mean lucky dog. Yes. Auntie loves her bones. Mark says Spider Kwanzaa Man. Yes, I am Spider Kwanzaa Man today, I guess. Sci-Fi Nation says, I got an email from Crappy Productions. They suspended my automatic monthly contribution payments 10 days after it was paid. What the F? Huh. I don't know. If it got suspended, it was because we don't actually, unless Bird of Prey is tinkering around with something that I don't know about, we wouldn't actually suspend it. But it could be a problem with PayPal. Because PayPal's who it all goes through, Sci-Fi. So I would check your PayPal account. Make sure like maybe your PayPal account was flagged as maybe something fraudulent going on. So I'd check on that. Surf says, Happy Life Day. How you doing, Surf? Bird of Prey says, hashtag free Auntie. I don't think, look at that. Auntie is just enjoying the heck out of that piece of prime rib there. I don't think she's worried about her leash right now. Mr. Wolverine says, Spider Turd does whatever a spider turd does. Indeed. What does a spider turd do? What do spider turds even look like? I wonder. Valor says, cutest dog in the world. Auntie's even cuter than Baby Yoda. Actually, Auntie's sister, Puka, is, believe it or not, cuter than Auntie. And I hate to admit that, but holy crap, is Puka stupid cute. What? How are you doing, old man Peter Parker, tonight? Yes, I remember when my days we had web shooters to get the bad guys, but now you got virtual reality. Valor says, Mr. Miles, always first, Bird of Prey, always crazy dictator who can't fly ships, and I am always awesome. Yes, Bird of Prey is, in fact, a crazy dictator who can't fly ships. That we have seen proven time and time again. Bird, you really got to work on that. Sci-Fi says, the email was from PayPal. It said to contact Crappy Productions as to why. Really? That's funny. And then Bird of Prey said, yeah, and Sci-Fi, go ahead and send it to Bird of Prey because he is the, he does all the web stuff on the site. So if there's a problem with it, then he'll get it fixed because Bird is the man when it comes to that. Greetings from Columbus, Ohio, says Mike Richards. How you doing, my friend? Jeff says hi. Sci-Fi Nations is saying sure thing to Bird. Excellent. Mr. Wolverine still enjoying the spider turdness that we're having tonight for some reason. Happy anti-Boxing Day. Thank you, Cedric. Yeah, I get confused. Is Boxing Day today or is it? I don't know, but that's like weird foreigner holidays. Surf Tractonic says, watch Joker. So is Arthur Bruce Wayne's half brother? No. No, not at all. And if you watch the movie, I think it's pretty clear that Arthur is not actually related to Bruce, but Arthur's mom was convinced that Thomas Wayne was the father because I think she was every bit as delusional as everybody thought she was. And so I think that was just her excuse for, that's why, you know, if she really did have an affair with Thomas Wayne and conceived Arthur through said affair, Thomas Wayne would probably be paying her whatever she wanted to keep her quiet. That being said, if you haven't seen Joker, you got to see it. It's freaking awesome. One of the best movies of the year, in my opinion. Happy Boxing Day from your neighbor up north. This is basically the Canadian Black Friday. Gotcha. And the Editor Supreme donated $2, says, can I choose the party drone as a super chat? The party drone? Miles, you kind of lost me. What's the party drone? Maybe I'm just like tired and cranky from all the driving around this week, but I don't know what you mean by the party drone. If you can make me remember what that is and I have it, I'll be more than happy to play it, I guess. For Catholics, it's St. Stephen's Day and still part of Christmas. Yeah, well, the Catholics go all the way to the Three Kings Day, which is from the Catholic tradition when the three wise men showed up, even though that's not really accurate because the three wise men didn't show up for like 2 years. Anyway, that's, of course, we also know that if based on what we can ascertain from the Bible, Jesus wasn't born anywhere near December 25th. So there's that too. Total Anthony says, hey, Eddie Checker, I hope you had a great Christmas. Thank you, my friend. Not bad, actually. The best part was dinner, which Auntie is now enjoying. And, you know, also, but I've just been so tired after all the driving on Monday and Tuesday. I heard rumors that Bird of Prey 5 uses orphans in a giant hamster wheels to generate power as his green energy and exercise program. That's actually very true. That is exactly, the Kurogan power system is in fact orphans that are trapped in giant hamster wheels. All right, so let me see what is. Oh yeah. We can play that. Okay, I wasn't sure. When you said party drone, I thought you meant like a flying drone. I wasn't thinking of that drone. So yes, so this is Mr. Miles' handiwork, something that we're working on including in our Borg videos. So here we go, the party drone. Whoops, that's the wrong button. That's not the party drone, that's the ending credits. The party drone. I don't know. That is so funny, Mr. Miles. I just love it. So there is the party drone. And let's see. Mr. Warrior says, you just make me happy sometimes. Well, thank you. Sci-Fi Sith says, hello there. Darth Maul says, didn't the calendars in the time of Christ only go up to August? Well, it wouldn't really matter at that. What they're trying to calculate is the time of year that it was. And based on, because it doesn't say like what day it was when he was born. However, what you can ascertain is based on his cousin John, whose birth date is described. Then Christ's birthday in relation to John's birthday would put Christ's birthday pretty close to Easter. And so that means basically that he was born in the spring. And so he was born probably closer to my birthday than to December 25th. Did you get Star Trek Discovery Season 2 for Christmas? Sadly, I should say happily, I did not. Brattle Fenton, that person says, actually, even longer until presentation of Jesus at the temple on the 2nd of February. Oh, I didn't know about that one. So, thank you. You fill me in on the Catholic lore. Andy Duggar is Spider Turd. Then who is Bird of Prey 5 from the Marvel Turd universe? Well, let's see. Bird of Prey 5, I think, would be our version of Kingpin, but I think that we need a name for that. So I think Bird of Prey is definitely though Kingpin from the MCU. And Thomas puts a couple of bucks in. Thank you so much, Thomas. I was beginning to wonder if you were okay because you haven't been here yet. It says Happy Independence and Unity Day, Slovenia. Well, there you go. I didn't know that either. At number 12.
What's up, guys? Welcome to The Lore Reloaded. I am The Lore Reloaded, your wondrous host.
What the You're so bad that when you come on screen, people don't drink. They punch themselves in the dick for 5 straight minutes.
And that is actually true. And, I just got to do this again. I don't know why, but that is really All right. Whoops, wrong button. All right, there we go. Come on. All right, there we go. Happy Boxing Day. Thank you, Bad Wolf. How you doing? Cinnamon also says hello. Sci-Fi Sit Then. Where you Santa Claus by buying... Were you Santa Claus for Christmas by buying Santa suit and all the white hair? No. Never dressed up as Santa. I bet nobody knew the board could boogie. Yeah, very true. Night Breeze says hello. Mike Richard says bravo. LOL, was that Mr. Miles? Yes, that was me. Yes, Mr. Miles put that together. Very funny. Perfect timing where, sometimes if you grab that perfect clip and you do stuff with it, yeah. Is that party drone or is it Bird on the dance floor doing a Kurogan mating dance? Well, I think it's both. Well, it's a party drone, but it's a party drone doing the Kurogan mating dance. Hello, my fellow Stargate. Oh, that's talking to Mr. Miles. Mr. Miles saying hi to Dan. Valor says, the wise men brought funeral items to Jesus' birth, reminding his mother that he's going to die. That makes them dicks, doesn't it? Well, although, here's the thing. Gold, not bad. Frankincense, okay. Myrrh, eh. So, but you got the gold. So, there's that. Hard to be pissed off at someone who brings you a bucket of gold. Bradley says, have you seen the Kenobi fan film? I have not. Surf says, it could be epic if they use Joaquin Phoenix and Ben Affleck in the Dark Knight Returns trilogy made Joker look older. It could be, but we will never, ever see that. And that's why the thing that makes me mad about the Joker movie, and I know I've said this before, is just that we're never going to get a Joker versus Batman movie using the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. And that, to me, is horrible, because the Joaquin Phoenix Joker is freaking epic. Duckpin for Bird of Prey. Duckpin. You're editing any Stargate... let's see. We're working on that. That's talking to Miles. Moxley Fan 20 says hi. How you doing, my friend? I don't think I've seen you around before, so welcome if you are new. Bird of Prey 5 is obviously the Penguin. Well, that would not be the Marvel Turd universe. That would be the DC Turd universe. Multi-vehicle accident on highway, so I'm late for work. Ah, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Nothing like getting stuck in traffic when you're on your way to work. What NES game is that song from? I keep thinking Battletoads, but I don't think so. I don't know where he got that music from, but I guess it's copyright safe because he put it up on his YouTube channel, didn't get in trouble. Omi Acer says, Bird of Prey 5 is all the bad things in my life, and I want them to go away. Well, you know, it's hard to make Bird of Prey go away. Mr. Wolverine is laughing. Mr. Mouse is talking to Sci-Fi. Says, Mr. Captain says, Bird's Spider-Verse name should be King Bird or Birdpin. King Bird or Birdpin? What do you guys think? Where did Joseph spend all that gold? Good question. Probably, you know, getting drunk over the idea that his girlfriend was pregnant. ETA on your back surgery for you to stop suffering from back pain and problems? Not yet. Still have more tests and stuff to do. It's going to probably be a long time. And let's see. That's going back to Master Miles. Thomas says, hey, Checker, did you finish The Expanse? I have a theory about the end. I did. Really, I want to do a video on Expanse Season 4. It's really good. I was actually very thankful that despite it switching owners, you know, going from Sci-Fi to Amazon, it does not, it still feels like The Expanse. In fact, I'll tell you, Amos was freaking awesome. Amos in the last episode, and for those of you that don't know, Amos is a flat out psycho. And at the end, he has this look on his face. It's the scariest look he's ever had. And Mr. Miles confirms it is Battletoads. Okay, did not know that. Bird could also be Ant Bird in the Spider-Verse. Oh, no. DC is far superior to Marvel. It has Wonder Woman and Batman. Case closed. Richie. Yeah. You should see professional for some help on that. And Jagger, did the missus say it's okay to let your hair down? You can't hide that glorious mane from us. Yeah, she's all right with me putting my hair down every now and then. I just haven't bothered. Awesome. It is Battletoads. Great song. I've never played Battletoads, so it is an awesome song. And thank you, Bird of Prey, for taking care of everything with Sci-Fi Nation. Valor says it's kind of annoying how people are griping about EU force powers being used by Rey. DC's excuse is EU isn't canon, so he doesn't have the right to use EU powers. Well, that's the thing, is that it's funny about if somebody wants to argue about who has the right to do what. Here's the thing. Disney owns, well, Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm owns Star Wars. And so they can use anything they want. If they want to say in the next movie that it's a force power to projectile vomit at someone and have it disintegrate people, they can do that. All right. Or if they want to do something a little more interesting and borrow stuff from the EU, then they can do that too. Anytime somebody says they don't have the right to do it, they don't understand what the word right means. Please tell me you're going to do something with Bird of Prey 5 singing about women's underwear. Yes, but not for a while, Thomas. We're gonna there's going to be we're gonna have an epic Christmas of 2020. But we're going to be working on building it up all year. Let's see. BritBox just put me all classic Doctor Who on episodes online. Epic nerd mode. Tom Baker. Awesome. Surf says Expanse Season 4 followed the book very well. Good. I have not read any of the Expanse books because I'm not much of a reader, but that's cool. I like that. Amos is my favorite character, says Bird of Prey. Of course he is, because you probably employ people like Amos. And let's see. You need to make your hair like it was in 1977. Well, I can't. My hair is much curlier now. So that picture, yeah, I can't like style my hair like that. But besides that, I don't think I look that good. Still waiting for your comment on that video, bud. Don't be too harsh, though. I know Sci-Fi, and it's tough because, yeah, I've been, like, today I was working on this video for the Star Wars thing. I was thinking about giving you guys a sneak peek of one specific part that I thought was mildly entertaining. So during the video, I talk about some various things about Star Wars, but I also talk about Star Trek a little bit. And I talk about, because one of the big arguments about Rise of Skywalker is that it undermines the previous films, right? That all, you know, Luke and Anakin's sacrifice is meaningless because of the fact that Rey is a Sith. And so I decided to look at my personal favorite sci-fi franchise and do a little compare and contrasting here. So I'll show you guys just a little bit of the video that I think is particularly entertaining. So let's switch over. So you can see David there from Star Trek II talking about, you know, this is when David found out that he was in fact James T. Kirk's son. So give a listen to this.
Proud. Very proud to be your son.
Yep, there you go. That is the very definition of undermining the prior film. All right, so let's see. RX Sith says, "Hey, my wife is having surgery to clear out scar tissue from her intestines. She has Crohn's disease." Oh, man, RX, I am so sorry to hear that. I hope and pray for a speedy recovery for your wife. I don't know how invasive that type of surgery is. It's, you know, I know that some surgeries, it's like, some surgeries you recover in a matter of a couple of weeks. Some surgeries take months. It just depends. So let me see. I think this is Thomas's theory on The Expanse. Let's see. Yes, I think that for the most part, I think you're right. And yes, I think that in season 5, you're going to see a lot of Christian working with Bobby, and then somehow the crew, the Rocinati, is going to get involved in uncovering all that stuff. But RX Sith, truly, I hope for a speedy and full recovery for your wife. And now, of course, Auntie is trying to hide out of the limelight so you guys can't see her, but she is gnawing on that bone. Let's go back to the chat. Mr. Captain says, "Hey, Tracker, where does the Star Wars universe go from here? Do you think we have seen the last of the Skywalkers, or does Disney actually do a hard, true reboot?" I don't think they're going to do a reboot per se, right? A reboot would mean that they're saying, okay, that never happened, we're starting from scratch, right? Instead, I think that there's a couple of ways they can go. One is they can keep poking around the lore of the Skywalker saga to milk it for more stuff, such as they did with the Solo film, which didn't work out too well, the Kenobi project, the Mandalorian project. You know, those are all around, you know, interwoven in the Skywalker saga. They take place during, in, and around and through the Skywalker saga. Rogue One, another good example of that. So they can keep doing that, but I think that's a mistake. Then they have two other options. They can go forward in time, or they can go backward in time. I know a lot of people would love to see them go backward in time and do Knights of the Old Republic. And I understand the appeal there, because while I don't know the lore of Knights of the Old Republic, I've just started playing the game again, but I haven't had time to play, but you know, I'm still in like the very first mission. But the idea of some of that lore is very appealing to people, and it takes place literally thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, so you wouldn't have to worry about any continuity problems, as long as you're not doing things that would make it impossible for the situation to come up the way it is. Andy, what are you doing? You just drug your bone all the way over there, so now they can't see you. But the problem with that is that prequels always suffer from prequelitis in some way. They're gonna want to drop little things of how certain things happen. Now, I think it would be cool to see the development of the first Jedi Order, the development of the lightsaber and stuff like that. That could be cool. But what I think they should do, honestly, is have the next set of films take place 5, 10, 20 generations down the road. What is the aftermath of all this, right? So at the point of the end of Rise of Skywalker, there's only one Force user known to exist. and a couple of people out there that may or may not be Force sensitive. So where does it go from there? And if Rey is truly, as I speculate, I think Rey is a gray Jedi, as much as I don't like the concept of gray Jedi. I think that's what Rey is at the end of this. If that's what Rey is, well, what about the good and the evil? Are they going to resurface? And what will Rey's position in this be, if at all? And so, or what will the legacy of Rey be? So I think that there is storytelling potential set in the future, and I would rather see that than going back to the past. But I do think the Skywalker saga is over, and in my new video, you will see exactly why, because I think that we've seen the entirety of the Skywalker saga. And in the Night Breeze at his job, he will not be doing what you asked him to do. He got the message. Wow, okay, don't know what that's about. And let's see, Mr. Captain says, can we get a Top Gun trailer review? I haven't watched the new trailer but once. I saw it in the theater. It looks all right, but here's the problem, is that when I do those kinds of trailer reviews, they're kind of hit and miss, and I can do it, but the problem is that, will anybody watch it? And I'm basically, if nobody's going to watch the video, it's a waste of my time and a waste of most of your time. So basically, Disney has the right to completely ruin Star Wars, or to completely make it awesome again. They can do whatever they want, June. It belongs to them. However, I think that don't place the blame as far as the problems with Star Wars on Disney generic. The blame goes to one, and actually two very specific people, Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan Johnson. Treats for Auntie and all hail the Hypnoturd. Thank you so much, Night Breeze. Puts $2 into the chat. Now, of course, Auntie is already chewing on the ultimate treat there. So you can kind of see her head at the top of the screen. So I'm going to let her continue on that. But let's take a look and see if we can find a little Hypnoturd action.
Let me play among the stars. I'm just a streaming dirt bag baby.
And do I have, where is?
We got it. We got it. Ah.
There. Man, where is that song? Man, I'm having trouble.
I love men. Arses.
Dang, I can't find oh, there it is.
All hail the Hypnoturd. You must love the Hypnoturd. The Hypnoturd is love. The Hypnoturd is life. The Hypnoturd knows everything about you, because the Hypnoturd is in you. The Hypnoturd is you. You cannot escape the Hypnoturd. Bow down before the Hypnoturd. Give yourself to the Hypnoturd.
Ah, yes, the good old Hypnoturd. Where were we? We were, let's see. I'm still surprised they never told us Wesley was Picard's son. They seem to hint it a lot. I don't think that he is. I don't think that he is. Tentacle says, no, David was never the main character in Star Trek. He was a nobody, and doesn't matter, he died. Actually, David's death serves the emotional man of the main character. Okay, Tentacle. All right. Let me, in that case, let me show you one other little sequence here. And maybe this will convince you a little more. All right, so here we have, of course, Spock in the radiation chamber, about to die.
Ship out of danger.
Yes.
Yeah, now you could argue about whether the Enterprise is a character in Star Trek, but most people would argue the Enterprise is, in fact, a main character.
The needs of the many outweigh
The needs of the few.
because the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many.
So even Spock's logic is undermined in this film. So yes, they undermine things over and over and over. Undermined in Star Trek 3 so that we could continue the franchise on.
And yet it should be noted that in the midst of our sorrow, this death takes place in the shadow of new life, the sunrise of a new world, a world that our beloved comrade gave his life to protect.
Every major point, everything that was done in Star Trek 2 was completely and utterly undermined in Star Trek 3. But we don't bitch about it like people are doing now because we knew they needed to do something to take the story further. And yes, sometimes that means turning things on their head. But, Tentacle, and you'll see in the video when it's released tomorrow, assuming that the copyright bots don't hate me for it, you will see in the video where I do think that it is fully the Skywalker saga. And I do get into that a little bit in the video itself. Let's see. You need to replace David with Bird and Kirk with anti-trigger. Okay. Not sure what you mean there. David's head with Kirk's head with... Oh, I see. That's kind of creepy. They'll build up Mando and move on from there. Favreau will want crack at classic Star Wars, so they'll try to keep it alive for him, I think. I don't want them to keep rehashing the same time period, though, over and over and over. And so, yeah, I don't think that would be a good idea. Would Rey be a gray mean that there's balance mean in the Force for now? That's kind of, yeah, I think so. No, at the end of Rise of Skywalker, there are tons of Force users. There are thousands of Sith, all Force users in that stadium, who are all wiped out. A question about the Da Vinci program. Can it separate a cell phone audio from video recorded on one? I know One Shot does, happily found out. Yes, it's actually very, very easy to separate the audio and video. So, for example, if we look at the project that I actually was working on here, we go back to this is obviously the Da Vinci project that I've been working on. So you can see that there's an audio track and a video track with every associated clip, right? And so, like right here, this is a clip from Star Trek, and if I highlight either the audio or the video, then it actually highlights both. Now, you can turn that feature on and off if you want to. I keep it on because it makes it simple. But let's say that I don't want this particular video. I want a different video segment with this audio. Well, all you have to do, the simplest way is you can lock the audio channel, select the video channel, and delete it. And now you have just the audio.
This death takes place in the shadow of new life.
And I can put whatever video I want on top of that. So if I want to take, and for example, let's say I want to put the video of Spock and Kirk and their conversation during over the audio of Kirk giving his eulogy. So I can do the exact opposite, lock the video, delete the audio, and now we have a very different kind of somber look at Spock's death.
And yet it should be noted that in the midst of our sorrow, this death takes place in the shadow of new life.
And so, you know, yes, you can absolutely, and let me go, thanks to the magic of Control-Z, you can take it back to the way that it was before. All right, back to the chat. DJ says, or Josh is saying to DJ LOL about something. Thomas says, Trigger, they need a trilogy of the peaceful and prosperous Sith empires. They defend the galaxy from the Jedi scum. You know, I don't know. The problem is that, well, you would have to do something either, like I said, in the past or in the future, because the Skywalker saga, you kind of have it pretty well covered. Mr. Moss says, Andrew, you should consider checking out Witcher because you're going to be hearing people talk about it for a while. Probably, but I don't have Netflix. Maybe I'll get Netflix if it does continue to come up a lot. And Night Breeze says, treats for Ante, and I already did that. And let's see, get back. Man, chat keeps jumping on me. I apologize because I'm way behind. Josh Street says, Ante Checker is pulling the new Bird of Prey 5. He can't find what he did with a file he needs for the stream. Well, no. I mean, I just didn't know what file he was talking about, if you're talking about the dancing Borg thing. Of course, one file that I always keep handy is this one. All right, so Mr. Ron says, but I'm a fan of the Witcher game series, so I'm biased. Well, yes, I know you're biased on that. Dark Weston, new sub here. Why is your mascot a literal pile of crap? Honest question. I know it sounds weird. No, it's not weird at all, Dark Western. And that's why if you go to my channel, you'll see the featured video on my channel is called Why I'm Called the Anti-Trekker. And I actually get into both the reason that I call myself the Anti-Trekker as well as why my avatar is literally a pile of crap. But the short answer is... it has to do with a hashtag MEPOO, me poo, a hashtag that I invented on Twitter. The hashtag me poo is to symbolize the fact that no matter, and it's basically keep us all humble. If we're fighting about something, like for example, we're fighting over Rise of Skywalker, right? A lot of us are fighting over that right now. At least, well, a lot of people are fighting with me about it right now because I'm like the only person in this community that seems to have liked the movie. Well, there's a couple of you out there, but you know what I mean. But when we're fighting about it, like if I'm fighting with Tentacle Pentacle about it, we can argue and fight and fight hard as we can and be passionate about it and care about it. But remember, you're a piece of crap and so am I. I am no better than you. You're no better than me. We're talking on equal ground. It's okay that we disagree. And it's to keep it from getting personal, getting out of hand and stuff. And I'm sure you know, Dark Western, on the internet, people tend to go Batwoman crazy from time to time. People will start, oh, I wish you had died instead of this person. Oh, why don't you kill yourself? Crap like that. It escalates ridiculously quickly and gets ridiculously dark sometimes. I will never go that direction. I can fight with you all day long, but I don't have to say something that mean to you because I can just fight about the issue, not about you personally. Multi-Gunman is in the house, says, how's it going? I'm hanging in there, Multi-Gunman. Still exhausted after all the driving on Monday and Tuesday. Hopefully I'll be feeling better soon. If anything, the Enterprise was the main. I agree. And let's see. Mr. God says, oh, by the way, Dark Western, one other thing. I'm glad I saw your comment, but when we're doing the live streams, if you want to make sure I read your comment, put at Anti-Trekker with the dash in my name so that I will see it. It'll highlight on my screen. Otherwise, I can easily miss comments, and I don't want to miss your comment if it's meant to go to me. Let's see. Mr. God says, when the ship blows up, you need to add bird saying, son of a bitch. Absolutely. Tom says, USS Discovery is the only main ship that doesn't feel like part of the crew. I agree with that too, Thomas. Unfortunately, Discovery, just feels like a piece of equipment. Tentacle says, Spock is often wrong because cold, hard logic is often wrong. That's the main point of Star Trek. Also, not the Skywalker saga, it's the Palpatine saga. It is not the Palpatine saga, Tentacle. Anybody that's saying that is not paying attention to what's actually going on screen. I'm sorry. It is a piss-poor argument because the Skywalker saga begins in episode 1 and ends in episode 9. And watch my video and you will see exactly what I mean. I agree with those points, except the Star Trek films weren't planned out as a trilogy. They were separate. You were quite correct about that, but here's the problem, Mr. Wolverine. And this is another thing I mentioned in the video that's coming out tomorrow. There was never a plan to do a sequel trilogy. I know people always had this thing, oh, George Lucas had it all mapped out for 9 episodes. That's a load of crap. Return of the Jedi was supposed to be the end of the story, but then they decided we're going to do something else. Well, guess what? There is literally no way to continue the story without undermining the previous story. Even with a 20-year time gap, people say, oh, wow, now Luke and Anakin's, their sacrifice was for nothing. What the hell do you call 20 years of peace? So that's nothing? Really? Whatever. I'm waiting for the big reveal when Mando removes his helmet to reveal that she has been a kick-ass woman all along. I don't think that's going to happen. And let's see. Tentacle says, if the Emperor can survive the explosion of the Death Star, a few Sith can survive some minor explosion. Well, first of all, the Emperor is the most powerful Force user in the universe that we know of, and you know as well as I do exactly how he transferred himself, and not anybody can do that. You would have to be incredibly adept at using the Force. Omi says, Baby Yoda is female, I think. Well, if so, then apparently Mando is an idiot when he's been changing the diapers, because everybody's been calling Baby Yoda a he. There have been 3 episodes now where different people, not just Mando, but different people have referred to Baby Yoda as a he. Bradley said if Mando was a woman, it wouldn't bother me one bit. It wouldn't bother me if Mando was a woman, except for the deception part. Except for the fact that why is Mando then disguising his voice? Okay, I'll leave it. Hopefully fine. I guess I didn't realize the nature of the stream. Start with you. No, Dark Western. Do not consider it an interruption to ask questions like that. I don't mind it at all. You are always welcome. Meaning that people would piss off a lot of people, but it sure would piss off a lot of people. I'm not sure what you mean there. If Mando's maybe about the Mando woman thing. If Mando's a woman, I'll get Joe Rogan to beat her face. Night Breeze put in a buck and said, death to disco. Indeed, my friend, death to disco. The classics. Sci-Fi says, thank you, bud. I watched the Da Vinci video tonight and was curious about that feature. It looks much easier than a one-shot. Yeah, I haven't used one-shot, so I can't speak to that. But yeah, doing something like what you were talking about is very easy. Mr. Miles says, Andrew, you don't need to keep locking tracks to delete selections. You just use the backspace key instead of the delete key. Well, there you go. See, Mr. Miles knows it better than me. So thank you, Mr. Miles. Everything but the face, Andy Trigger S. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch, your Streamlabs didn't show my super chat. Oh, did you do a super chat, DJ? And I missed it? I'm sorry. No, I don't see a super chat. Was it a super chat or a Streamlabs donation? Let me check there. See if it messed up here. Because if so, I am truly sorry, DJ. Helps if I type correctly. All right, Streamlabs dashboard, log in with YouTube. I should have been logged in already, but I was not thinking. Choose your account. Yeah. All right. And loading. Got a new subscriber. Night Breeze donated $1. DJ Odyssey. Oh, yeah, I do see that. I am not the father, says DJ, and play whatever. Well, I apologize, DJ, but thank you for mentioning it in the chat. So, and no, you are definitely not the father. And play whatever you say. Okay, well, whatever today is going to be this one.
The toast and eggs are really good, but there seems to be something missing. Yeah, that's what you're having for breakfast? That simply won't do. Follow me instead. What kind of place are you taking us to? A place that will introduce you to Frosted Fruity Hulls. Not only does it have 4 unique fruity flavors, but it also has a glazed frost that makes it extra yummy.
How do they get so deliciously frosty?
The frosting, since Frosted Fruity Hulls of course comes from this hull. Part of a complete nutritious breakfast.
That is so messed up. Not as messed up as this, but... All right, so I hope he's still here. He might have left to watch the video. Yeah, I know. I don't. I hope he doesn't think that we were trying to shoo him off. So if he does, if anybody sees Dark Western come back, or if Dark Western, if you're still here, I hope you realize that yes, you are absolutely welcome. Nightbreeze says, "Me poo." Thank you, my friend. Multi Gunman says me poo. DJ Odyssey says me poo. Probably when I was talking. And Poob Tube Shenanigans, yes. Sistra says, Enter, I liked it also. I'm on your side. Thank you, my friend. Nice to not be completely alone. And the funny thing is, this is another thing that I think is kind of hilarious, is that when I posted the Rotten Tomatoes audience score, 86%, the funny thing is, I kept getting people, like on Twitter, a whole bunch of people responding to my Twitter saying, oh yeah, give it time. You're just, that's just the initial reaction. And so it's gonna completely change. Now, when I first put it up, when I first looked at the 86%, I think I had about 9,000 views, and they were like, yeah, see, because The Last Jedi, it had 200,000 views. This one only has 9,000. It's going to completely change by the time it gets to 200,000. And of course, now it is still at 86% with 55,000. So yeah, screw you. The numbers have been pretty darn steady. It's still at 7 on IMDb, 7 out of 10. Most people like the freaking movie. Bird says, your avatar predated Me Poo by a year. Yes, but I do explain that in the video. It started out as just a joke, and then the Me Poo thing, I kind of adapted from it. We all have something, insert word, and most of them stink. Yes, that is true. Yeah, history change. Okay. Not sure what you're talking about there. EU Skywalker animated stories could be great with Favreau and Lucas involved. Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think that it's time to let the Skywalker saga go. Omi says, Lucas hadn't a freaking clue as to what he made or what he was doing. Well, yes and no. What Lucas could do, Lucas was really, really brilliant with two things. He was really brilliant with visual effects. That's something that he pioneered, ILM, totally groundbreaking for visual effects, still considered among the best in the business. So Lucas was a pioneer in visual effects. The other thing is Lucas is also a great story breaker. He knows how to put together a story from beginning to end. He wrote the story, of course, for the prequels, for all of the original films. He wrote the story for them all. What he's not so good at is directing people and writing screenplays, as you could see from his clunky dialogue in the prequels, the really bad acting in the prequels and in the original 1977 film. I mean, you look at some of the acting and it's so bad. My favorite to point out is Han Solo in the Millennium Falcon going, I'm not in it for your revolution, princess. I expect to be well paid. I mean, it's just that bad. And it's Harrison freaking Ford. So he can't direct people, but he can break a really good story. And so what happened was that perfect storm was when he wrote the story and other people wrote the screenplay and directed it, and we got Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which very few people would argue is anything but the best of Star Wars. Mr. Rouse says, Andrew, you might be noticing people arguing about if The Witcher is any good, but notice nobody has brought up SJW issues. So refreshing. That, and the funny thing, Mr. Mouse, that's true about The Rise of Skywalker as well. Nobody's really fighting over SJW crap. Even though sometimes if I try to say it, well, and it's not feminist, some people say, sure it is. But they don't try, but that's not like the lead in. They're not trying to say it's a bunch of feminist crap, which I'm very happy about. It is the Palpatine saga. Palpatine gave birth to Anakin Skywalker. It's the Disney cartoons. The entire Star Wars movies is all about Palpatine. Whatever. If you want to say that, Tentacle, you say that. But you know what? There is nothing in in canon that shows that Palpatine gave birth to Skywalker. You're just trying to say that because you don't like it. But if you think that because of what happened in the prequels that Emperor Palpatine created Anakin Skywalker, then it was that way by George Lucas's design. So stop dumping all over J.J. Abrams for something George Lucas did over a decade ago. You're barking up the wrong tree. You're bleeding on the wrong hill. You're crucifying J.J. Abrams for the works of other people. And that, more than anything else, is what really burns me about a lot of people in the Phantom Menace that are blaming J.J. Abrams for crap that Rian Johnson did and for crap that George Lucas did, like J.J. came up with this stuff. He did not write the prequels. He did not write The Last Jedi. And yet 90% of the problems that people are talking about came from either the prequels or The Last Jedi. Give it a freaking rest. Keely Chow's in the house. How you doing, Keely? Tom says, Baby Yoda is far more powerful than the Emperor. Well, we don't really know what the extent of Baby Yoda's power is. I mean, we've seen Baby Yoda lift a mud horn and force choke a shock trooper. That doesn't necessarily... I mean, the Emperor could do that with his eyes closed. So, I don't think that would... so, as far as Baby Yoda's force power compared to the Emperor, we really have no idea. And let's see, back to, I'm way behind. Tom says, he wants Mecha to love and defend him. He got Mecha to love and defend him. I doubt Mecha wants an Emperor plush toy. That's very true. I'll give you that. Mr. Wilkinson, you are absolutely correct that there would not be any way to continue the saga past Return of the Jedi. That's my whole problem. The sequel trilogy from the start is just unneeded. I get that, Mr. Wolverine, but the thing is that when Disney announced that they were going to produce a sequel trilogy, where was the outrage then? Because quite frankly, there wasn't any. A lot, and even after The Force Awakens came out, most people were on board. Yes, the big complaint was it's a rehash of A New Hope. But you know what it wasn't? The big complaint was that it undermined the original trilogy, which is kind of interesting because that's what everybody's saying now, that the third movie is out. After the trilogy has been undermined for 2 previous films, now they're blaming J.J. Abrams for it. Now, granted, J.J. Abrams did direct the first film, but you know, the trilogy was going to be produced, whether or not JJ was a part of it. Bradley says, I thought Disney recently told everyone the Palpatine wasn't who created Anakin, but the video I watched may not be true. I don't know. I haven't heard Disney say anything on that. So, I mean, Disney doesn't generally hold press conferences about the lore of Star Wars. June says, I saw Rise of Skywalker on Christmas and found the constant exposition and contrivance really annoying and ruined the movie more than anything else. Well, first of all, I think that the first act of the movie is really clunky. The first act of that's why I only gave it a 6 out of 10. If the movie had started with them landing on Endor, I probably would have given it a better score. Because that first act was god-awful. And that's really where the exposition dumps were. And what happened, and I think this is true, for a lot of people, when they watch that first act of the film, they get completely turned off by it. And so by the time you get to the good stuff, they're already in a foul place and they can't, and it's not enough, the cool stuff, so to speak, is not enough to bring them out. Or they just don't care at that point because they've had the exposition dumps and the choppy editing. Vader's redemption could have been saved by one line of dialogue from Palpatine to Rey. What Vader didn't know was that no Jedi can kill me. Palpatine killed by his own attack. Well, that would be an interesting way to do it, but you know, the problem is that wouldn't make sense because as Yoda likes to say, the dark side and the light side were equal in strength, and so you can't if no Jedi could kill Palpatine, then no Sith should be able to kill a Master Jedi, unless Palpatine really is the penultimate Force user. Does Da Vinci Resolve help find the Holy Grail? Not so far, but we've come close a couple times. Although Mr. Miles says it does. DJ is the father of what? We don't know if Baby Yoda is a clone or related to Master Yoda, but in the events of Episode 9, I wonder if the Baby Yoda is actually Yoda without the personhood of Yoda imprinted. Now, I think that's too much of a stretch. I think Baby Yoda is just another member of the same species as Yoda. And DJ says, no, even Anti-Junker said I'm not the father. The father of what? RX says, Enter, what is the probability that Season 3 is the last for Discovery? I would say, honestly, probably about 75% at this point. Not because the Discovery is doing any better or worse than Season 2, but because of the change in ownership of CBS. I think that there's a good chance that Viacom is going to look at this and say, well, you know, we'd rather have you produce series that make us money. Wesley says, greetings, turds, birds, and return lines at the store. Yeah, boy, I tell you, we had to go to the store today. Fortunately, we didn't have to return anything because those return lines were crazy. Sci-Fi says Anti-Tracker doesn't count, only Bird and Sis O'Prey. Not sure what that means. Wesley says, girlfriend is asking, what the hell am I watching? Well, you're watching a fat guy with a goatee ramble on about Star Wars while his dog chews on a bone. DJ says, I didn't totally hate Rise of Skywalker. The ending, though, was a slap in the face. See, I didn't see the ending. The only problem I really had with the ending was that Rey walked away with the Millennium Falcon. I didn't particularly care for that. She should have honestly landed on Tatooine in Luke's X-Wing, not the Millennium Falcon. But, yeah. The audience score of Rise of Skywalker is faked by Disney. Okay, Tentacle. Okay, well, in that case, please show me your evidence that that is true, and then I will take that into account, because you just saying it doesn't make it true, and I don't care how many members of the nerdosphere are saying that it's all faked by Disney, because that's just basically speaking out of desperation. Did you get a chance to watch that video, Baby Yoda meeting old Yoda? Yeah, it was actually pretty well done. Although, you know, some of the dialogue that old Yoda gave in it didn't make a lot of sense, but it was cool. All I want to know is Rey saying she was a Skywalker as in ripping off family name, or is she using the old name for Force users? Well, the thing about that line, Bradley, is that if you look at the way she says it, just before she says she is a Skywalker, she looks over and sees the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia. And so I think that it's fair to say that she has adopted the Skywalker name with the permission of the Skywalker, you know, the king and queen of the Skywalker clan. Normies like the movie and Anti-Tracker is a normie confirmed. No, Tentacle, because you know what? There are people in this chat that like the movie. Just because you didn't doesn't mean that only the real... You know, here's the ironic thing. And I think I might have mentioned this in the video as well. I think this is just plain stupid. I've been having people say I'm not really a fan of Star Wars because I liked the Star Wars movie. Think about that for a minute. The initial reaction of the same people said Rotten Tomatoes scores were rigged, and they said the same for The Last Jedi, but it's obvious people still don't like The Last Jedi. Well, that's the funny thing. It's like, and I'll tell you, because a lot of these same people that say, oh, it's all rigged, but then when Rotten Tomatoes says what they wanted to say, oh yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is awesome. Right now, Rotten Tomatoes is horrible. It just depends on if it fits your narrative. Let's see, a S helps if I spell it right. Let's see, The Last Jedi. All right. So here's the thing. And I was screaming this from the mountaintops at the time, and this is why I say, you know, like, critics are out of touch with the common folks, right? So here's The Last Jedi Rotten Tomatoes page. And you can see the critic score was 91%, but the audience score was 43%. There's a clear disconnect there where the critics loved the movie. However, the general audience, including, by the way, pretty much all of, well, that's where the Phantom Menace even came from. So, the Phantom Menace hated this movie. The critics and the SJW crowds loved it. And we ended up with this 91-43. And I'm sure some of the normies thought it was okay. Then we go to Rise of Skywalker, and look, it's the exact opposite. The critics hated it, 55%, and the audience liked it, 86%. And this, to me, is, again, it's really interesting, because a lot of the people that when I talk to people that love The Last Jedi hate this film. Why? Because it undermines The Last Jedi as JJ tries to restore the mythos of Star Wars, which is a very difficult thing to pull off. And, of course, the problem is that you have two extreme groups. You have the SJW crowd hated the film. You have the extremists in the Phantom Menace hated the film. And so, but then the bulk of people actually enjoyed it. And I appreciate the fact that JJ was trying to repair the mythos. I'm not saying he did 100% correct. But he did a whole lot better than Rian Johnson did, and I didn't give it a glowing score. I give it a 6 out of 10. But people think that for some reason 6 out of 10, oh my God, you love the movie. IGN did a rating of Star Wars movies and placed The Last Jedi and Rogue One as its top movies, excluding the originals. Well, that's IGN. I mean, that's just wrong. I think Tom Selleck would have been a better hand. Wow, Bird. Wow. I know that he was considered for the role, but that would have been horrible. I would like to see a couple of episodes of live-action short treks that take place on the Enterprise under Captain April, because we know even less of April than we do of Pike. That could be cool, but the first thing they need to do is stop using the souped-up Hot Rod Enterprise and go back to the classic Enterprise. Tentacle says, no, it's the new Disney comics that show Palpatine used his Force power to make Anakin. Okay, well, I don't know about that. I haven't read it. And so, if so, well, whatever. That's what the writers decided to do. And JJ still has to work within that canon. There's also a theory that Palpatine forced Me Too'd Shmi Skywalker to give birth to Anakin. Lucas came up with the virgin birth. Disney made Palpatine cause the virgin birth. Well, it was actually, here's the thing, Tentacle, and I don't know if you remember this, but, you know, because I don't even know how old you are. You know, maybe you're too young. But back when the prequels came out, a lot of people thought that Palpatine created Skywalker. Why? Because we have the virgin birth in episode 1, and we have the story of Darth Plagueis in episode 3, and people put 2 and 2 together and say, because he said he could use the midi-chlorians to create life. And in episode 1, they said the midi-chlorians created Anakin. There you go. Let's see. Nightbreeze says, all of a sudden these left-wing militants blast you with lasers and wipe out everyone within 3-mile radius. You didn't ask for that. You have no personal politics. I think it's hilarious, though, that basically people like Tentacle, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to pick on you, Tentacle, but people like Tentacle that want to fight about how bad Rise of Skywalker is are on the same side of the SJWs. I just think that's hilarious. Baby Groot is great than Baby Yoda any day. If you mean greater, I disagree. I like Baby Yoda a little better than Baby Groot. No, Antiger. Abrams has turned Skywalker Saga into the Palpatine Saga with these last 3 movies. That said, The Rise of Skywalker may well still be a good movie. And Jaegerbaum put $5 in and says, so I probably won't see Rise of Skywalker anytime soon. I can safely say it's better than Last Jedi because SJWs hate Rise of Skywalker. And then I lost the rest of it, so let me bring it up on the other screen. They hate The Rise of Skywalker. I still like Rogue One. Any hopes for Star Wars? I think Star Wars has a bright future ahead of it. I truly do. Unfortunately, it will not be with the Skywalker saga. I will miss the Skywalker clan, but I think Star Wars still has legs, and I think The Mandalorian, more than anything else, proves that. There's plenty of stories to tell in the Star Wars universe. June says that Rotten Tomato audience anticipation score, that's not the audience anticipation score, that is the audience review score, is really suspicious. Many YouTubers have reported on evidence that there's some score manipulation. Here's the thing, and this is a funny one. I got into it with pretty hardcore with one of the guys on Midnight's Edge about this. The reason that people are saying it's being manipulated is because this is something that Rotten Tomatoes has changed. But what they now do is that you have to be a confirmed viewer of the film in order to see it. How do they confirm you saw the film? Well, the way that they confirm that you saw the film is by Rotten Tomatoes linking to the Fandango. So if you buy your tickets through Fandango, then Rotten Tomatoes can confirm that you saw the movie, and so only people that actually saw the movie can write reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. And people are calling that manipulation because now you can't just blindly put reviews in like you could in the past, where people claim to have review bombed various movies. Now that's not possible, and so since they took steps to prevent review bombing, people are calling that manipulation because it doesn't fit their narrative. That's honestly all it is. And that's the thing that's a little frustrating, is people basically are making up stuff just because, Rotten Tomatoes is horrible because it doesn't fit my narratives, but when it fits my narrative, Rotten Tomatoes is awesome. Wesley says, shout out to my girlfriend. I have her listening for once. Well, very cool. Wesley Crusher's girlfriend. Welcome. And yes, I'm a dork, but I'm a lovable one. Disney retcons its own comics. If Disney retcons its own comics, I'm not aware. Yeah, I don't know. I don't read the comics. So, and that's one thing, like if you say this is in the comics, you can say that all day long. I haven't read it. I don't know. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I can say from what's on screen that even if Palpatine created Anakin, people were speculating about that back in the early 2000s. And for good reason. it's kind of implied. Klutz says, I just remembered the Baby Yoda used Force Choke without having been taught that power. Well, and also Force Levitate. But the thing is, we don't know what Baby Yoda has been taught or not taught, because Baby Yoda is 50 years old, and the Mandalorians only had Baby Yoda for a few weeks. So 50 years old, could have learned quite a bit. Bird keeps claiming I'm the father of Sisso Prey's baby. I kind of doubt that. I think Sisso Prey has better taste than that. Mr. Ross says, DaVinci Resolve allowed me to find out that video editing is my holy grail. I always had a minor interest, but I never really tried it. Gotcha. That's what you meant. DJ has been after Sisso Prey, and she now is having a baby, so it's DJ's baby. I kind of doubt it. Sci-Fi Nation says, DJ's the father. Bird and his sister were asking us for baby names on the streams the other day. Well, I still think Sisso Prey has better taste than to, yeah. Does anyone have a picture of Ant Trigger holding a cheek? Holding a cheek so we can change the cheek to have Disney name and logo on it? Holding a cheek. I'm not sure what you mean there. Ms. Brown says, Andrea, that logic fails about people saying I'm not a Star Wars fan because I like a Star Wars movie. Imagine if a Star Trek Discovery fan said that, we'd all feel like they don't truly understand Trek. I get that, but here's the thing. I don't say that people who like Star Trek Discovery aren't Star Trek fans. They may not be fans of classic Trek. They may only, and if they are, there are some people out there, like Daniel's Hot Topics, for example, who like Star Trek Discovery and likes old Trek, and that boggles my mind. But I'm not going to say he's not a Star Trek fan because he likes Discovery. I'm just going to say, well, I think Star Trek Discovery is bad because X, Y, and Z. Tiki says, so 6 out of 10 is a good movie now? Newsfeed. That's the thing. I didn't give it a glowing score. 6 out of 10 is just saying, well, it's more not suck than suck, and that's like, I'm not saying there's not plenty of problems with the movie. I think these critics seeing a different movie, not Last Jedi. Well, the funny thing is, it's because of the, and Last Jedi was so blatantly political, and I think they found that refreshing, because here's the thing. What do critics love in films? They don't see film for what it is. What they see film, and this is the same, it's so funny, because Hollywood and the critics, they see things the same way. The actors, the directors, the producers, and the critics see film as important social commentary and ways to change the world, and that good movies need to make you think about stuff and stuff like that, right? That's what it's all about to them. What film actually is entertainment. It's meant to show me something that I can enjoy for a couple of hours, that I can escape reality and vicariously live in a galaxy far, far away and have laser swords and wizards and all that, and how cool would that be, and just lose myself in that world for a couple of hours. That's what a movie is. So when The Last Jedi came out, the critics loved it because it was exactly what they thought film is supposed to be. But it sucked. Because they don't care about the characters of Luke Skywalker or any of the rest. They don't care about the fact that Luke Skywalker is a hero in the past. They think it's great that now they're showing the realistic dark side of everybody, and how Luke, his cowardice, that makes sense because that's exactly how you would react. No! That's not a hero! Darth Maul says, I can't fault Michael Chabon leaving to produce his own property, but those in the Nerdosphere like to chalk it up to his leaving secret hideout atmosphere. He may return. Yeah, people make a big deal out of the Michael Chabon thing, but it's really not. That 86 has been locked in for thousands of votes. Isn't that a bit fishy? No, not at all. Here's the thing, is that generally speaking, 86% on there means that most people that go to see it like it, but about 14% obviously don't. Now, assuming that that's an accurate metric of people, that number should be the same or roughly the same as numbers grow on. And I've seen it fluctuate a little bit. It was like at 85% for a little bit. It was like 87 for a little bit, but it keeps floating right at 86. And so that's a pretty consistent number, that about 14% of the people don't like it. Those 14% being extreme left, extreme right. For some reason, they see eye to eye on this one. Darren says, I hate you. I played Star Trek Online until 1 a.m. last night. That's late for me. I hate you. How have you been? I've been okay. I haven't played Star Trek Online this week. I might try to play it a little bit eventually. I don't trust critics or average fan scores. I go by word of mouth and YouTubers whose opinion I trust. If I end up with a few spoilers, oh well. See, but I tend to do that. I did do that before I became a content creator on YouTube. Because now I kind of have to see the movie and give my opinion. But the difference, and here's the thing, Sean, and I hope you guys, of course you guys know this, that I am going to tell you my honest opinion. Right? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to, because obviously I could get a lot more views on YouTube right now if, like everybody else, I was making all sorts of hate videos about how horrible, J.J. Abrams is the worst, Jar Jar Abrams and Ruin Johnson and KKK Kennedy and all this hyperbolous hate that people are throwing at Disney and Lucasfilm and J.J. Abrams right now. That would be the easy way to get views. But I'm not doing that because, to me, my integrity is worth more than that. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on it. Now, I'm not suggesting, by the way, that any of the people that hate it didn't actually hate it. But I'm just saying I can't say that because I didn't hate it. Thomas says, did you see Cats? No. And I'm not going to. Because that's not a Nerdosphere type movie. And so, yes, I have no intention of seeing Cats. Jeff says, I'm sorry I had to bail earlier. I'm back. Well, welcome back, Jeff. Valor says, many like Mary Mayhem as allowing their emotions to blind them and it creates anger. To me, I see The Rise of Skywalker as an apology movie. It is absolutely an apology movie. Directly, as you saw the clip that I put in my last video, where Luke literally tells Rey that him staying in Octu was wrong. Oh, by the way, Darren, loved your video about the Enterprise refit. If you have not seen it, check out that video. That is freaking awesome. I keep forgetting I was going to send out I'm going to send out a post on that later because that is freaking awesome. Jaeger says, again, let's see. It's asking if there's any hope for Star Wars. I do think there's hope for Star Wars. I just don't think that the Skywalker saga has any more legs because I think they kind of drove that one into the ground. And which is sad because I like the Skywalker saga, but yeah, whatever. The Rise of Skywalker did do something weird to the fandom. While The Rise of Skywalker wasn't great, it was still moving in the right direction away from The Last Jedi. Yeah, I agree. Isaiah says, holy crap, the anti-checker is Spider-Man. Yeah, I forgot to change out of my uniform today. Technical says, yes, that's why Star Wars is just the Palpatine saga. I'm arguing the logics of the movie. I didn't bring feelings into it. You like it based on feelings. No, I like it based on the fact that I found it to be a good movie. That's it. The problem is that you're basing your judgment of this movie on the entire saga. Well, if that's the case, then any sequel to Return of the Jedi is going to fail. If I were basing every movie on the entire saga, then I would have to say every movie is a fail after Return of the Jedi. But that's not what I do. Now, granted, maybe you can't separate that, and you can't look at this movie for what it is. This movie tries to restore the Skywalker name. It tries to make the epic feeling of, family and stuff like that in Star Wars, bring it back. It tries to do a lot of things, and it directly apologizes for some of the content in The Last Jedi. Now, is it perfect? No, of course not. I gave it a freaking 6 out of 10. That's not a glowing score. But to say it's this horrifyingly bad movie, I think is completely unfair and is spreading falsehoods about the movie. Now, I don't think, and by the way, one thing I am going to brag about is on Midnight's Edge last week, I said that I thought that The Rise of Skywalker was going to get between 150 and 175 million opening weekend, and it got 177, I think. So I was pretty darn close. The But Wait guy is going to have a Star Wars identity crisis. I haven't had a chance to talk to Andrew about his feelings on this movie yet, but I'm curious to see what he thought, because he liked The Last Jedi. Did your bases to where you're stationed have free cinema to go to? When I was in the Army, no. We did not have free cinema, but that was back in the 80s. People think it's manipulated because it hasn't changed from 86%. I've seen it at 85. I've seen it at 87. It has not always been at 86. It was just, but it has been at 86 several times. Action Jack says the 86 thing is fishy too stagnant. I don't think it's below 65 though. I don't think it's anywhere near 65. And I don't see it as fishy if it is, just because it's, here's the thing. Let's say, and thank you, Alexander is here and says, let's swing from lightning to another. A lot of the times when we watch election returns, right? It's very, very common where you see like 3% of the return is in, and candidate A has 60%, candidate B has 40%, and they call it right there. And they're like, oh, yeah. And you're like, how the hell can you do that with 3%? It's because of statistics. It's because of the way it works. Depending on that 3%, if it's a good sampling of the state, guess what? As the numbers roll in, it's going to stay at that. It might fluctuate a point or two in one direction or another, but it's going to stay at that 60-40 split. And most of the time, that's what happens. It's very rare that you have a big change in that number, unless the way that the counting is done is where you only get certain counties in at the beginning, and then you get other counties later, and that can be confusing because you have rural counties tend to vote Republican, city or urban counties tend to vote Democrat. So like if you're looking at Multnomah County in Portland, Oregon, and it's 90% Democrat, 10% Republican, guess what? That's with 1% in. When you have 99% in, it's still going to be 90-10 because that's the way Multnomah County is going to vote. And let's see. Sci-Fi Nation says, The Quartering had a video today how Disney and Lucasfilm were buying positive scores on Rotten Tomatoes. Might want to look into it. They have no evidence whatsoever. They're just saying that in order to try and drum up views. I'm sorry. No disrespect intended to The Quartering, but when people start saying this kind of crap, then they are simply trying to drum up views. And I find that, quite frankly, offensive. It's pure clickbait. But I bought my tickets from the box office at the theater, not Fandango, so it is manipulation to a point. Well, except I understand that to a certain extent, but here's the thing. If you buy your ticket at the box office at the theater, which I don't know why you would do that unless your theater doesn't do reserved seating, but if you do that, well, that's fine, but they can't verify you did it. What are they going to do? Have you send in your ticket stub to do a review? So I think that Fandango is a good sampling of the audience, and that's what you got to do. You got to get a sampling of the audience, and you have to confirm that they're real viewers. If you don't confirm it, then people can easily review bomb, which is what people accuse various groups of doing. And Alexander says, the Asian Muslim wife born in the USSR is the best choice. I know she certainly is for you, my friend. She certainly is for you. Isaiah says, seen Lost in Space Anchor and my family's favorite show. The robot is pretty cool. I like the classic Lost in Space. It was silly, but it was fun. I think that the remake in the, what was it, the 90s? It was all right. I think the recent remake on Netflix was boring and pointless. Valor says, people like Doomcock, Mead, Mary Mayhem, Mecca really do love Star Wars and want it to retain its purity, but allow their emotions to get the better of them. I agree. And that's the thing. I never said that Doomcock, Mead, Mary Mayhem. I don't know Mary Mayhem. I only talked to her the one time. But I do know Doomcock. I do know Mead. I do know Mecca. And I don't doubt for a minute that they're sincere. But yes, I do think that their emotions get the better of them when it comes to this. Trek Reviewer says, in my projected Captain April series, I'd like to see George Kirk Sr. as his first officer and Pike as his second during the launching of the, and I assume you're going to say Enterprise. I could see that, but you know what? I don't want Trek Reviewer more prequelitis in Star Trek. That's the problem, is that if you're, as cool as a Robert April series could be, no, don't bring in George Kirk, don't bring in Pike. Have an entirely new crew, and so that you can actually do things that are unexpected. You could kill a crew member and it wouldn't be a big deal. And Alexander puts in another $2, says, I always buy my cinema tickets cash to the cinema, and there's nothing wrong with doing that if you want to, but it does mean that you're not going to get counted by Rotten Tomatoes. When I got out of the theater, I was surprised it was a decent movie. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. See, and that puts you very close to what I gave it. And so, yeah, it was a decent movie. It was not great. 28 days till Picard airs. I'm not sure how to feel. It's going to be interesting. I hope Picard is good. I truly do. But the trailers are not leading me to think it's going to be good. That's but we'll see. There's a video of someone scrapping 25,000 reviews and did analysis. Most of those reviews are faked first-time Rotten Tomato users. So you're saying 25,000 people went to Fandango, bought a ticket, and then they went to Rotten Tomatoes, did a review, and it was fake. Remastered, I watched it on Netflix. Remastered, there was remastered Lost in Space. I don't know anything about that. And let's see. Enterprise and maybe an appearance of the teenage James T. Kirk. No. We don't want classic characters back. They'll ruin them. Trek Heroes like Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I didn't know that. And Alexander says, I didn't give it a 9 out of 10 because of the lack of Jar Jar. Yeah, I know you were really disappointed in the lack of Jar Jar, but most people didn't mind. Cats is a Nerdosphere movie. It's a Broadway nerd movie. You know what? I don't think that my subscriber base is filled with Broadway nerds. Sorry. June says, Rotten Tomatoes, I find that Phantom Menace YouTubers have no trust in Rotten Tomatoes at all and does not in fact use Rotten Tomatoes to support any narrative, maybe except for Jeremy because he likes to troll. Well, here's the thing, June. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, the Phantom Menace was full of people pointing out that an insane 90+ score from critics and the 43% from fans. Because that is an accurate reflection of how a lot of people felt about The Last Jedi. The critics loved it, the fans hated it. But, yeah, and the problem is that, and so 2 years ago, yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is great. 2 years later, oh, we can't trust Rotten Tomatoes. Now, this is not the first time they've said we can't trust Rotten Tomatoes. They've tried to suggest that Rotten Tomatoes has been manipulated before, but the thing is, if you look at the scores on Rotten Tomatoes, it really, look, let's do a random sampling of some movies that have been hot button issues for nerds, right? So we'll go here, and let's put in Ghostbusters, and see if we can find, let's see, the 2016 Ghostbusters, 74% from the critics, 50% from the audience. Sounds about right. A lot of critics like Ghostbusters, and the audience didn't. All right, so let's see. What's another movie that was something that pissed people? How about Charlie's Angels? Let's see. Charlie's Angels. I don't even know what it is. 51% from the critics, 78% from the audience. But this is the interesting thing about that. So you might think, oh my God, that's rigged. Look at the verified ratings. 2,580. So yes, a lot of people that saw the movie liked it, but almost nobody went to see the movie. The critics didn't like it. The movie was a hot mess. And so I don't doubt the score because most of us didn't bother to go see this crap fest, right? And of course, everybody's favorite, if you look at Cats, 18% for the critics, 56% from the audience. That's just bad. And I guarantee you that the 56% from the audience, people might think that's kind of high, but most of the Cats had an abysmal failure at the box office. And I would dare say that most of the people that went to see Cats are the people that saw Cats on Broadway and liked it. And Tom says, I meant, did you see the Cats? Is a disaster. Oh, yes, I did. And Wesley puts $2 into the chat. Thank you so much, Wesley. Says, show us Data Laughing. Number 15. You got it, Wesley.
Sir, we are being hailed.
On screen. What is your problem?
I am Lore.
Do you need help?
I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Lore Reloaded.
Let me guess, the rubber band broke, right?
I make YouTube go.
I do love that one. Thank you, Wesley. I appreciate it. And also, Alexander puts in another $2, says, I want the movie Rise of the Gungans right now. Oh, man. I'm sorry, Alexander. That would be a painful, painful movie to watch. Darren says, thanks for that about the Guppy program. But yeah, that was really good. everybody should check out, if you look at Darren's Enterprise refit from a submariner's point of view, it's really good. DJ says, did you even watch my 30-second Christmas message yesterday? I did, and I showed it to Mrs. Anti-Checker, and we laughed. Dentical says, no, I'm basing my rating of the movie on its plot holes alone. I've said this movie's better than Last Jedi, but it's still a horrible movie. So what do you rate it at, Tentacle? All you're telling me is that it sucks. You haven't given me a rating. You just said it sucks. If you give it a 5 out of 10, all right, I'm not going to argue with you on that. Consider watching Grunt Life by Vet TV. It's delightful and demented. Sounds disturbing. Last 2 costumes are not furries. That's true. Bunnies are furry, just ask Cinnabon. Well, Cinnabon has an obsession thing going on. And there is Alexander's Super Chats. Thank you so much for the Super Chat message, even if it does have to do with lightning. How is Barbie and the Rocket Royals? I haven't watched it yet, Alexander. I'm still trying to get the energy to do it. I'm telling you, I need to get a lot of alcohol together so I can make it through Barbie and the Rocket Royals. But thank you for the $2. I don't know why it didn't pop up on the screen. Maybe it will in a minute, but I didn't see. There it is. Okay.
Hello, world.
But thank you, Alexander. Even though you're going to make me watch it. They didn't have film when Janchak was in the Continental Army. Funny. Robert says, hello, Jagger. Movies like Star Wars and the Force Users are kind of boring. As me, watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z, Super, and GT. You have beings who can destroy planets and solar systems. Well, I don't care for that level of power and stuff either, because I think that gets boring. If the heroes and villains are so powerful that you can't even identify with that level of power, I don't know. That takes me out of it. But for some people, they love it. And it's all a matter of personal taste. Andrew is not confirmed that Disney bought tickets, but it is confirmed that they're inflating the Rotten Tomatoes score, just business as usual. Well, they are confirming anybody that you can't write a Rotten Tomatoes review now unless you bought a ticket. So, you know, and that's the thing. I know that a lot of people want to believe that there's this huge conspiracy involving Rotten Tomatoes. But here's the thing. In the end, it doesn't really matter. The movie is okay. The movie's not great. But the movie's okay. I think that some people are very loudly and boisterously trying to say this is the worst movie of all time and exaggerating its flaws. Are there flaws? Heck yeah, there's flaws. But is it an absolute dumpster fire like The Last Jedi? No. And if anything, it is directly an apology for The Last Jedi, and I, for one, appreciated that. I predict that The Rise of Skywalker is going to be the return of the Jedi of this trilogy, both figuratively and literally, in terms of being the crowd pleaser, happy ending that people pick because people pick at because of the obvious flaws. I think there's some truth to that, Action Jackson. And the problem is a lot of those flaws were unavoidable. You know, unless you, and the problem is that, you know, people say, oh, well, he should have just had Luke Skywalker wake up from a dream and say, wow, what a horrible vision. Now I need to prevent that. Let me find Rey. You know, the problem is, you know damn well he couldn't do that. It's not like he could just do whatever the hell he wanted with it. He needed to get approval from Kathleen Kennedy, and that was not going to happen. Always buy my tickets, Cinemas Cash. Thank you, Alexander. And like I said, that just means you won't be counted. Doomcock is in the cock is doomed. Doomcock is a very strange YouTuber. Tom says, makes no sense. Disney would rank Rise of Skywalker scores when they didn't go Solo or The Last Jedi. But heck, Disney, if you're listening on Saturday, I'm seeing the movie. I'll take $500 for a 10 out of 10. There you go. Let's see. I didn't give it a 9 out of 10 because of lack of Jar Jar. I don't understand your obsession with Jar Jar. Yes, they use Fandango to buy the tickets. Use the email to register for Rotten Tomatoes. First-time user, they have no review history. And you know what? Most people that write, you know what, reviews is a first-time user. So what? And you want to say 25,000, okay. And so they actually went through all 25,000. They showed all 25,000 and confirmed that they're all first-time users. Because I don't even know how you do that. But let's see. Can you do that? If we go to Rise of Skywalker, 86% score. Let's see. And see all audience reviews. All right. Now, it does show the ones that are not verified as well as the ones that are verified, right? Because the ones that are not verified, you can still leave a review. It just doesn't get counted. So here's what you see there. Let's go to the screen, right? So the first verified, 3 out of 5, felt like a bunch of horribly written scenes just hacked together. Zero thought was given to the history of Star Wars. Disney slaps fans in the face again, right? So that's from Boba Jeff. And that is a verified user. That was 1 hour ago. Now, how do you find out that this person is a first-time user, Tentacle? Please tell me. What do I click on so it tells me, oh yeah, Boba Jeff has never left a review before? Because, you know, I'm trying to click on his name, nothing happens. You know, it just says that he's verified. So I don't have any options here. So you got to tell me, how is it that all these people scoured these reviews and verified that these people are first-time reviewers? I'm actually genuinely curious about that. They should do a Star Trek series about the time shift relativity. I think that would be a mistake because it doesn't follow the Star Trek formula. Why and their names are evenly distributed almost with the same review comments. Okay. But you know what? Here's the thing. There's not a lot to, you know, people are going to say the same things. Yeah, first act was, they'll say incoherent, horribly edited, something to that effect. They'll say that, you know, Palpatine, if you liked it, they might say Palpatine was an interesting villain. You might say that, oh, well, and it wraps up the Star Wars saga. If you look at my, like, one paragraph review, I'm sure that you could compare it to a lot of these and say, oh, it's obviously the same thing, because there's not that much to say. The first act was a mess. The Palpatine story was interesting. It finished off the saga. That's what almost everybody's going to probably say. And for some, let me see. I see, it looks like a new super chat came in, but I did not get a notification from June. Says the big violation of trust. Thank you, June, for the $5. Says the big violation of trust by Rotten Tomatoes came during the Captain Marvel shenanigans. That was when the Phantom Menace and us lost all trust in Rotten Tomatoes. So let's look at that. And it's kind of funny because Captain Marvel is another movie that I said was okay. I don't remember. You know, I think I gave it between a 6 and a 7. And so let's see these rigged scores on Captain Marvel. The rigged scores on Captain Marvel show 78% from the critics, 49% from the audience. What about this is rigged? Because you know what? That looks about right. The critics generally were praising it as being the first female titled superhero from Marvel. You know, basically trying to praise it for its feminism and all that crap. And, you know, all that. The audience basically came away from it going, eh. Now, not everybody hated it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was a great movie either. My problem with it is I think that Captain Marvel herself was a bland character, and she should have been the most interesting character in the movie. She was the least interesting character in the movie. But I still enjoyed Nick Fury. I enjoyed Phil Coulson. I enjoyed the Skrull story and all that. I thought that all that was interesting. It's just Captain Marvel herself was boring. But now, when the Phantom Menace goes all Batwoman crazy about how it's so obviously rigged, no, it's not. I mean, those numbers look about right. And I know people are going to say, oh, but we saw this email or this. You know what? If Rotten Tomatoes had genuinely rigged this for Captain Marvel, if that were all 100% true, guess what? Rotten Tomatoes would be out of freaking business right now. Wesley says, Mountain Nerd is my lovely girlfriend. Whoa, Mountain Nerd, thank you. They should, well, I disagree with you about the time shift relativity, but I'm glad that you're here. And even though you're Wesley's girlfriend, I can't change my mind just because Wesley is a soft spot for you. I'm still going to be honest. Darren says, hey, look up the Warcraft movie. All right, let's see. What a Warcraft. I don't know what I got. I enjoyed the Warcraft movie for what it was, but I think it could have been a lot better. I like the orc story. Yeah, that's another one that I think is about right. The critics hated it, 28%. The audience thought it was okay, 76%. I think that sounds about right. And let's see. And there's Wesley's $2 saying, show us data laughing. Thank you, Wesley, for your generosity. Alexander's $2 for Rise of the Gungans. And no, I've not seen Barbie and the Royals yet. Let's see. Last Jedi, 3 out of 10. Rise of Skywalker, 4 out of 10. Okay. Now, so you give it a 4 out of 10, which is on the, obviously below average, but not where, like, here's the way I can tend to look at it. Bad is like 1 to 3. 4 to 4.5 is like below average. 5 is, of course, perfectly average. And then 5.5 to 6 is above average. 7 is good. 8 is great. Did you get your copy of Man from U.N.C.L.E. yet? No. I didn't know you sent one. We should all vote for the Anti-Tracker should go see Cats. I am not going to see Cats. It has been confirmed Anti-Tracker served as George Washington's aide while he was in the Army. Jerk. Correct. 2.5 thousand, not 25. Oh, okay. 2.5 thousand. So again, Tentacle, and I know that you said that a while ago, but tell me, how did they verify these people were first times? Because I don't see a way to verify that. Wait, my tent. Yeah, the hoodies take a little while to ship, Alexander. It took me a couple of weeks to get it. The big violation of trust by Rotten Tomatoes came from the Captain Marvel shenanigans. Well, where I look, June, I understand that a lot of people thought that there were these huge shenanigans around Captain Marvel. Personally, I've always taken Rotten Tomatoes with a grain of salt. It's just an aggregate site, right? All it does is say, okay, here, if you're a certified Rotten Tomatoes critic, we'll count you in the mix, and here's the percentage of people that gave it a 6 out of 10 or better. And of course, that's where you get the tomato meter. And, just for fun, if you're an audience member, you want to leave a rating here. And here's the percentage of the audience members that liked it. Now, what they had to do now is because of people review bombing is now they have to do confirmed viewers. And they can't do that the problem is I know people say, oh, it's not fair. Well, they have to do it however they can. So now to do confirmed viewers, they do it via Fandango. And let's see, 2.5 thousand reviews were scrapped using a program and an analyst we've done on it. Okay, so you have if you click on the name, nothing happens. Then it's a first-time user. Okay, so you're saying that anybody who is not a first-time user, let's say Matthew, if I click on his name, rating history, he's a first-time user. And when I clicked on his name, it went there. I think the only thing that it means if you click on the name is that they don't have a profile set up. Honestly. Because like, Lori, nothing. Jules, oh, look, that one's got a link. And the difference is they have pictures. They've set up a freaking profile. That's all it means. And you know what? Not everybody sets up a profile. So you're basically making the assumption that anybody who has not set up a profile is a first-time user, even though I just clicked on Matthew, who has a profile, and he was a first-time user. So, sorry, I didn't have the screen up. Let me go back there. So, game screen. So, I didn't. So, if I click on Boba, I click on Laura, I click on Steve, nothing happens, right? But I click on Matthew. Oh, helps if I'm sorry, I'm over here. Okay, click on Boba, nothing. Click on Lori, click on Steve. See, nothing happens. And notice they don't have pictures or anything. But I click on Matthew. Now he's got a picture in his name. Look, it brings up his review history, and he's only reviewed one movie, Rise of Skywalker. So what? He is a first. But the funny thing is, you would probably assume he's not a first-time user because he had a profile, and you could click on his name. So. And so, yes, a lot of these people do not have profiles, but guess what? I've been on Rotten Tomatoes for years, and I never set up a profile. So you're basically making an unwarranted assumption about the person based on if they set up a profile. That's a false assumption.
Hello,
Alexander puts in another $2, says, I do petition for Rise of the Gungans. Sign. All right, I'll sign your petition. Why not? Simple fix, Anti-Tracker, like they do on fast food receipts. There's a code that you just on a web page, and you can review your food. They just need to do that for movie tickets. Yes, but here's the problem with that. How many different chains of theaters are there? And are they going to want to do that? Because guess what? They're not going to, if I own AMC theaters, why the hell should I put a link on there for them to review it on Rotten Tomatoes? That doesn't help me in any way, shape, or form. So I'd want Rotten Tomatoes to pay for it. If Rotten Tomatoes wants to pay me to do it, sure. But Rotten Tomatoes is going to pay money to do it. It's, you know, they're not, you know, the frickin' a multi-billion-dollar company or anything. I know. You can go downstairs in a minute, okay, Auntie? What? What is it, Auntie? Well, you got your leash all tangled up in there and stuff. All right. We'll get you out of here. All right. And I know we'll wrap it up in just a minute, Auntie, okay? She's getting a little anxious. Everybody making fun of your age. For me, I think you're the omniscient and omnipresent poo from the divine bowels. You push the universe in the earth. I do need to wrap it up in just a minute, so bear with me, guys. I'm going to try to get some more of the chat done, but Auntie is starting to get very anxious. Rotten Tomatoes changed how their whole review system works because of Captain Marvel. They stopped wanting to see, because of that movie. They stopped wanting to see. I'm not sure what you mean there. Are you defending Rotten Tomatoes? Not exactly. I'm just saying that, you know what, people make a bigger deal out of it than they should. They simply are an aggregate site. That's all they've ever been. We'll give credit. You're a good devil's advocate. Actually provide good arguments. Well, thank you, Jaeger. Andy Trigger, 5. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Hey, you better not be digging in there. Just like the new Spawn movie, how good is it really going to be focusing on Sam and Twitch, supporting characters instead of focusing directly on Spawn? I don't know anything about the Spawn movie. Yes, 5 is average. Rise of Skywalker is below average because of the nonsensical plot. Well, I don't think the plot is nonsensical. And you know, that's a funny thing about that. Why do you think the plot is nonsensical? A lot of people say it's nonsensical or convoluted. I didn't think it was either. I didn't think it was particularly well structured. I think the editing in the first act was horrible. But nonsensical? No, I had no problem whatsoever following the plot. And so people that say that, I think weren't paying attention, to be honest with you. I disagree. The issues with Rotten Tomato is a big deal. It's about curtailing the speech and opinions of consumers and people, and journalists lying to the public. It's about selling out our values. Well, as far as the journalists, Rotten Tomatoes has no control over what the journalists do, right? They simply count the number of reviews that are positive or negative. That's all they do. They do not pay the journalists. They do not have any affiliation with the journalists except that they certify that they're an actual journalist, right? So they have no control over that. If you want to get mad at the journalists for selling out, well, that's a real problem. A lot of them are shills. I'm not going to argue with that. What if people voted 1 for yes and 2 for no with enough ones for you to go see Cats, then someone donated enough for you to see Cats? Would you? If somebody wanted to pay for me and Mrs. Anti-Checker to go see Cats, I would drag her to go see it, but she would be very upset. I've been out for a while. We'll have one jar for the Super Chats. Oh, I forgot to bring that back. I'm sorry, Gary. That's my fault. I usually shut that off when I'm doing a live stream on the Rational Roundtable channel, because I think it's like kind of tacky for that. But then I forgot to turn it back on. Bots don't take time to set up a profile. Bots also don't buy tickets. That's why I think that you're just assuming they're bots because they don't have a profile. Like I said, I've had an account on Rotten Tomatoes for years and I don't have a profile. So what? As a resident conspiracy theorist in your community, I would like to just say that while I would like to believe there's a Rotten Tomatoes Disney conspiracy, I'm not seeing it. I don't see it either. I think that it's people just wanting it to be there. I don't want to see Rise of Skywalker again. I don't know if I will go to the theater again or not, but did they explain why Star Destroyers had to have navigation beacon or whatever that was? I think they said it had something to do with the... no, Auntie, no. Just a minute. Let it go. No. All right, she's trying to eat a piece of plastic. That would be very bad. No. Let it go. Auntie, no. Boy, she doesn't want to let go of this. There. Yeah, that's a bad job, Auntie. I don't want you to get sick. All right, so anyway, I want to see. I don't want to see it in the theaters again either, Jeff. I'm not going to see Rise of Skywalker again. When it comes out on home video, I will purchase it, but that's just for the purposes of review. No, if you have review history without a profile, you should still have a link to your name. Can you prove that? Yes, who's going to pay? And besides, it doesn't. Here's the thing, Tentacle. You're going to automatically dismiss someone's review because it's their first review? What if it's someone that gave it a negative review? Are you going to dismiss that because it's their first review? If you're not going to count any first-time reviewers because of the simple fact that they're first-time reviewers, I think that's making an unwarranted assumption that everybody who's a first-time reviewer is fake. Yes, who's going to pay that? I don't know. It's just an idea. I don't think anybody's going to pay for me and Mrs. Antchecker to go see Cats. Andy wears the pants of the family, eh? Well, Auntie is a dog. The Rotten Tomatoes used to have a section called Want to See. They stopped doing that because of Captain Marvel. I know. And you know what? I don't mind them getting rid of Want to See because I thought that was stupid anyway. Okay, I'm setting up to go live once Andy Trigger's done. Very good. Well, get ready, DJ, because it's going to be in just a few minutes here. Piano D says, I walked in the door from driving all day. Feels good to be back home. Hope everyone had a great Christmas. I tell you, I am exhausted because Monday and Tuesday especially Tuesday. Tuesday, I was driving the car from 5 a.m. until about 10 p.m., with about a 2-hour break. It was a rough day. Enter YouTube Purge is currently in progress. Everyone make sure you're still subbed. I was at 8137, refresh YouTube Studios at 8091, refresh again later, 8070. Ah, man, I hate when they're doing the Purge. Hyperspace skipping, Sith Dagger, Palpatine survives Death Star. Palpatine had huge fleet, not using it. First Order, Final Order, Wayfinders. Those are just a few examples. Okay, that's just taking various things from the film and listing them. That's not showing plot holes. As far as hyperspace skipping, I thought it was dumb. But it's not a plot hole just because they hadn't done it before. It's not like they said, oh, we've always done hyperspace skipping. That's not a plot hole unless there's some kind of inconsistency or contradiction. Sith Dagger, so you're saying the existence of a Sith Dagger is somehow a plot hole. Why? So they can't have artifacts in this? They can't have mystical artifacts that point the way, even though it's been done in movie after movie, but when they do it, it's wrong? Palpatine survives the Death Star. That's actually explained better than almost anything else that you've talked about. Palpatine having a huge fleet, not using it. Well, I don't know why he was waiting to use it. That I'll give you. But, that's just, maybe Palpatine was waiting until he could, suck up the power of Rey before he made his move. First Order, Final Order. What is the problem with that? That's not a plot hole. That's just listing two things that are in the movie. Wayfinders. Again, that's not a plot hole. That's just listing something that's in the movie. You're not listing plot holes. You're just listing things. You may not have liked those things, but those aren't plot holes. Anyway, yes, look at this user. User ID 832052266. No private file, but a history. Okay. But then why can't I click on anybody? Anyway. Did they explain why the destroyers had to have the nav beacon? I don't think they do. I don't. But I'd have to watch the movie again to really know, and I'm not planning on watching the movie again for a while, unless I absolutely have to. But you guys are going to make me watch this movie again, aren't you? Anyway, I do need to run, guys, because it is getting late, and Auntie is going crazy here. But have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. And thank you for hanging out with me. I truly do appreciate it. And take care. Hey, I'll tell you what, Tentacle. Let me say this. And I'm absolutely serious here, Tentacle. If you want, I would challenge you to do this. I want you to make some notes, think about it for a minute, and write down every individual thing you hated about the Rise of Skywalker. And I will try to answer to that. And DJ Odyssey is live. Just put the link in the chat because he's a shill. So go check out DJ Odyssey, and the rest of you guys take care.
vessels moving into range.
On screen.
Let's get lost in that magic place all alone now. Drink your fill from my fountain of love, wet your lips. I'm a man, I'm a teaser, I'm a man, well I'm a virgin, I'm a man, I'm a one-night stand, a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a dream, I'm a dream divine, make love together.
He's dead.
You son of a bitch, anti-tracker! You son of a bitch, anti-tracker! You son of a bitch, anti-tracker! You son of a